Hey guys, welcome back to Weeb101, and on our 21st episode, you can see something that we wanted to reveal all along. I don't know if you can see it. That's my cousin sitting in the back. He's my brother.
Oh,
he's
my
the famed
God.
one. He's the guy that we
God.
have been talking about. And I'm going to hide him a little bit because I don't want to be sued for copyright because he's playing a game. But that is my brother. He's back and my setup has changed again. And well, this is my face now. How does it look? You're actually, the camera is actually on top of the Luffy figurine, so I can't show that off. But if you look right over there, you can see my other figurines. Anyway, today we are gonna have a really short episode. And Sid, what are we going to talk about?
10 minutes. Today we are going to talk about Vinland Saga by Yukimura Makoto.
And we're done. Cut. Cool.
Oh my God, that was pretty
I am
fast.
Sid, and that's Brew, and we have guest star Audi, and thank you for coming
I was here for all of
to
5
Weeb101. No, Brew. Let's start off. Brew.
Yes.
For people who don't know what Vinland Saga is, tell us what it is.
It is a story of Vikings invading and colonizing Vinland, which is supposed to be modern day America. And that's the whole story, except they have a massive prologue which talks about the destructive, rampaging parts of Vikings and how they don't care and they kill people and they have little short swords and go and they live for war and they want to go to Valhalla and all that stuff. And if that's the stuff that that's the stuff you like, then you watch season 1 of the anime. That's the only season, and you stop right there because after that, all the Viking blood nonsense just ends up going away.
So what we'll do is in the beginning we'll talk about in the beginning we'll talk about the anime, since I've only seen the anime and Brew has read the manga. So then you can go more in depth into it. I don't care about spoilers because
check the camera when you're talking about that.
I don't care. I don't really care about the spoilers because I'm not gonna read it further or watch it because I kind of got bored of it. I'll tell you why.
Can you say where you got bored of it?
Yeah, after the anime and when I started reading the manga. But I'll explain why. So, but let's talk about the anime first. So,
do we have to?
I'll talk about it because I've read it.
Yes,
so
you watched it.
We mentioned this before, but I've watched it. So we mentioned this. I think I mentioned this before, right? But the anime starts off at a different stage when the manga starts off,
That
right?
is true.
The anime starts off with the anime starts off in the proper chronological order, I would say.
Yes.
With Thor's in the village, and then the Askeladd stuff happens later towards the end.
Yeah.
So they break it down proper chronological order, so it was easier for me to follow, I guess. But for the Brew will give you the story summary. I'll just tell you what I thought about it. So for the whole anime, I was waiting for something to happen because all of it felt like set up for something, like okay, something is gonna happen. They're setting up. I was just getting impatient. Okay, I was like, what is gonna happen? Because from the opening, openings are spoilers, and from the opening I knew it was about that little kid, and even in the beginning he was younger than he looked because he had that shabby hair and stuff in the opening. And I was like, okay, something will happen, blah blah. And I was waiting, and then season 1 just ends, and I'm like, what? Like what? You just left me like that without telling me what happens. You just set up the whole and apparently later, while reading some of the manga, I found out that it is actually just the prologue, which is like 50 chapters apparently.
Approximately, yes.
Does the prologue normally ever go for 50 chapters?
There is no prologue in
No.
manga. It's unheard of. It's just very weird.
No, so usually they have. So I'm not saying anime has to be this way. I'm just saying how it is. Usually you have the normal story starting off, and then when something comes up, some event comes up, the characters thinking something, they flash back to the past or shows what happened. That's what happens, right? But they concentrate on the main story. Now, if what they showed was the main story and not the prologue, it would be different. But all of it felt like set up for that kid to become what he does, as Brew will explain later. But that's what I thought. And even while reading the manga,
Vinland Saga begins at the 50th chapter or 54th chapter.
Apparently, yes, it does. And the thing is, the direction it goes in later, right? Like we'll talk about it, like when it actually starts, it could just, I think me and Brew were talking, it could just have started off at that point instead of having all this prologue bullshit, before it.
Yep.
And he could have taken it in whatever way he wanted it from there. But overall, yeah, it was just whatever experience watching it for me. That's what I'll say. And I know a lot of people like Vinland Saga, and you can let us know in the comments. We'll talk to you. But now, Brew, just start talking about the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vinland Saga follows the story of Thorfinn, who is the son of Thors, and Thors faces an untimely death at the hands of Askeladd. And Askeladd becomes Thorfinn's sworn enemy because he killed his father. And Thorfinn, even though he's a young little kid, decides to kill for Askeladd, and each time he does something for Askeladd, he asks for a duel in return so that he can kill Askeladd and regain his father's honor. And he fails miserably every single time. And the story is literally just Askeladd manipulating Thorfinn to doing what he wants and making sure he never wins the duel, and Askeladd just stays alive throughout. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole story because we had a conversation about this already, and Sid put out a very wise line saying, I don't want to talk about things that I don't like, I want to spend time on things I like.
Yeah.
So
exactly. That's what this podcast is supposed to be, except a few mistakes we made. I don't want to waste my time talking about things we don't like.
Yeah, so that's why this is going to be real short. We are 6 minutes in, we're going to be done by 15 minutes. Anyway. Thorfinn keeps chasing Askeladd as his goal, and in the end, after a lot of alliances and betrayals and murders and death and war, Askeladd dies, and Thorfinn is not the one who kills him, and he loses his sense of goal, he loses his purpose in life, and because of this, Thorfinn becomes completely depressed. He goes through a major change in the type of person he is, and he becomes a slave. He's sold away as a slave, and he becomes a farmer. And he has to cut down trees, and he has to irrigate the land, he has to grow crops and sell it to the farmer so that he can buy back his freedom.
Yeah.
And again, cutting a lot of the war and bloodshed out, he manages to get free from the farm. He takes a slave he was working with along with him, and they go with Leif Erikson to start building Vinland up as a civilization. And they can't do that without a huge amount of money, so they go to people trying to ask for money, and they go to one of the Thorfinn's dad's old enemies, and he sort of helps them out, and they do a lot of stuff like this. So the story goes from a young kid who is ravaged by war, who is consumed by war, who literally wants to war, into a man who never wants to be violent again in his life, like that.
Into Gandhi, yeah.
It's instant, and I understand manga taking new routes. Like, I for one am always a fan of Katekyoshi no Hitman Reborn, starting off as a gag manga, then becoming an action manga, because that really made sense. The transition was well done. They took the story in a place where I didn't think it would go. They screwed up the ending, agreed, but the transition was well done. But here it was just like, I will kill everybody, I will kill nobody, and that's it. That's literally how it works. And that was very...
Oh, it just instantly switched, there was nothing happened.
Okay, it's like okay, I am Thorfinn, and then it's like, Zoop, I am Thorfinn, I will no longer kill. That's the next time you see him, and they don't show anything, they just time skip it, and they don't show his...
Yeah.
They don't show him falling into that pit of depression. They don't show him falling into the thought process of Anomi, where his worldview breaks down, and he has to think about what he's done, think about philosophy, and think about what it means to kill and what it means to live. They didn't show any of that. All they show are like souls trying to pull him down when he's climbing up, and that's literally
I see. Audi has to say something about it. Audi, tell us
about that part when they show him transitioning from being a full cold-blooded murderer to a lowly slave. Why was he turned into a slave?
Because
King Canute and him were on decent terms.
Yeah, but he raises the blade against King Canute because he's like, how dare you kill Askeladd? I was supposed to kill Askeladd. You killed him, so I'm going to kill you. And Canute was like, well, I don't want to kill you because you helped me, so you become a slave.
Yeah. Okay. But Audi actually, his experience reading Vinland Saga was opposite from Bruce's experience, so I would like to know about Audie's experience too.
Sure.
Audie,
I
can you tell us?
actually sort of fell off after the whole Thor's arc. Once Thor's died,
Bro, that's like 15 chapters or something, right?
Thor's and Askeladd both were the only characters that I got to liking quite a bit, and towards the end of the 50th arc, they showed that they showed Askeladd's true name, his name that resembles the Welsh legend Artorius. So I figured, when he reveals that, he's going to do some pro shit afterwards. He even says, I am the rightful ruler of Britain. And I was like, yo, this guy just made a huge fucking declaration. He's going to go to war against King Canute. This is going to take a real good turn. I'm going to like what's coming after this. 5 chapters later, he fucking dies, and I was like, okay, what happened to that all that declaration, all that noise that was happening all that while ago, 5 chapters ago.
Yeah, but see, Askeladd only did that to make sure Prince Canute would be boosted. He attacked the king so that he could save Wales and keep Prince Canute in power. So, but that was like...
So Audie only liked the prologue, basically.
But that's the thing, right? I was under the impression that Askeladd was double timing him or triple timing him, because he was like, I hate Danes, I hate these people all the time, I hate all of them. But he wants to be under King Canute to help him rise in the Viking rule.
Yeah.
And when he claimed that I am the rightful ruler of Britain, I was like, oh damn, he triple timed him over here saying I am the rightful ruler of Britain. Fuck you, you're not going to be stepping on English soil. You're not going to be ruling Britain anytime soon. I'm going to be here. But then he dies afterwards. So both Thor's and Askeladd kind of die off, and then from that point forward, I wasn't invested in the story at all. Especially when they instantly transitioned Thorfinn from being that murderer to a slave.
Yeah, that's another problem I have, because a lot of reviews that I said were like, oh wow, what an unexpected plot twist. I didn't expect Askeladd to die. While that's good in some situations, like Game of Thrones has shown that it's good to kill off characters in different ways when you least expect it, because it creates that shock factor, it pulls you into the story. But on the other hand, the reason the Game of Thrones show failed instead of the books was because they built up characters to be sacrificed, if that makes sense. There were characters who just were existing to be sacrificed. And while Askeladd was a good character, his end, the way he dies, just made it seem like Askeladd existed to die so that Thorfinn can become a better man.
Yeah, like everything seemed to be just everything before his non-violent stage seemed to be set up for his non-violent stage and not like proper story and development, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, oh, he's going to become non-violent. Let's try to put in as many details as possible to make him non-violent. What will push him towards non-violence instead of this? Because even when Askeladd dies, he's like, oh, remember your dad, oh, he was such a nice man, oh, we should be kind, you should not kill people, and that's coming from a murderer himself. Okay, he's coming from a guy who's murdered that guy's own father in cold blood. He has no right to be talking about who should be killing and who should be living life how. And yet this guy is like, Askeladd told me, these were his last words. What does it mean? Maybe I should be a good man. Like, no, what the fuck? Just do whatever you were doing from before. You lost your goal. Find a new goal. Doesn't mean you just go into an insane pit of depression and then suddenly change and turn over a new leaf, which makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody changes that quickly. It's not possible.
Yeah, we are not opposing change. We understand characters change there. Like you can go from good to bad to good or good to bad, whatever you perceive it as. It is possible, but it just doesn't happen like this, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're trying to say, which is what they did in the manga.
Way too quick. Oh my god, it was like. See, because if you look at something like this, it's if you take a normal person, it takes years and years for them to deal with any sort of culture shock. Some people are so crippled that they never come back and do anything again. While Thorfinn was like, he was sad. He was like, oh, I farm, I'm a farmer. And then the minute someone gives him hope, he's like, let's go, Vinland, it's time. And that makes no sense. Are you sad? Do you not have a goal? Or is it just that are you just so absolutely dense that someone just gave you a goal and you were like, goal, I must do it.
Yeah, also that is also another thing that I remember you were telling me when we were discussing this before.
Yeah.
You were talking about Vikings and how they want to basically they want to die in battle with honor and then go to Valhalla.
Yeah.
And how them becoming non-violent, that suddenly them giving up all their culture and everything and switching.
Yeah, that comes later in the story where they force Thorfinn to become the leader of the whatever band of Vikings, and he's like, well, we are disbanded, and they're like, we are disbanded. This is only my identity in life as a Viking. I am part of this elite group who murders, pillages, and rapes. But you said we are disbanded. We are.
Yeah, I would like to ask Corey because of that, because he is really interested in Vikings and he reads a lot about Norse
but I would just like to make
mythology and
one
history.
small comment here.
Yeah, sure.
Now, take into anyone who's watching, take into account a friendship or a relationship or even someone who died, a family member who died. You don't really accept them just being gone. You don't accept that the relationship is over even when it's over, right? If you get fired from a job, you don't just accept that you got fired from. Obviously, people do. There are a lot of people who are peaceful and thinking about all that.
That's me right there. Yeah.
But for the common man,
but if you've grown and developed to that stage to be like that, right? Yeah.
So even in that, even the modern world where we have so many resources, where we have so much information, we still can't let go of certain things. And you're telling me these Vikings who are guys who didn't care about the same amount of philosophy or thought, who care about war and carnage, were like, okay, group disbanded, and they're like, group disbanded, leader has said so.
I don't think they were happy with the fact that the group was disbanded, but I felt like they had no other choice because, like I said, King Canute would have just come back in with his own force and taken out the Jomsvikings and ended them right there. So either they could have stuck around and met their fate at the blade of King Canute, or they could have just pursued another profession that involved battle, like thievery, mercenary work, anything of the sort, merchant guarding, whatever the fuck you want call it. Yeah, so long, considering the fact that every one of the Jomsviking warriors wants to go to Valhalla, they could have taken an n number of professions that involves picking up a sword.
You do realize that they could literally fight Canute for their own freedom and pride and go to Valhalla anyway.
Huh?
They could have literally fought Canute with their pride and they could have gone to Valhalla anyway.
Okay, but then did we see them properly leave the Jomsvikings yet? We've been shown that Thorfinn has given out an order.
This manga shows nothing. It's just like, oh, I say this and I'm off. Bye. I'm Thorfinn.
Wait, hold on. I actually wanted to ask. Has the manga ended?
No,
this hasn't ended yet, right?
No, it's still going on.
So that means in the future there will be chapters of showing Thorfinn making travels back from Vinland to...
How do you know Thorfinn just doesn't die in Vinland?
Again, who the fuck knows? But I'm assuming they want to carry it on because people like the manga. Is
that what actually happens?
Chapters with it, so they're probably going to go for a lot longer.
No, but
as well.
Historically, does it continue because it's based on historical events? What would you say, Audi?
Yeah, hold on. See, Leif Erikson makes trips back from Vinland to this thing. Iceland, was it? Iceland, I think Iceland or Greenland, wherever he lives. Wherever they live. So they normally have to make trips back because they have to get fresh settlers. They have to get fresh resources. Because obviously if shit goes down in the place they are trying to settle, they won't be able to scrounge up the resources needed to grow. So someone has to go back and make the trip, get some resources back, get some money back, get some food, everything else, and kind of start anew, if you will. So whenever this manga does advance to say, I'm assuming it might go up to 300 chapters, but by then he would have made a trip back to Iceland. Then they would probably show something about the Jomsvikings having grouped back up again maybe and probably died at King Canute's blade.
Okay.
So that's your answer. We don't know
They
what's
haven't
going to
shown
happen.
enough yet. I feel like they haven't shown enough yet.
Yeah, but see, you can apply that to literally everything.
They haven't shown enough since the beginning.
That is true. They haven't shown barely.
And you can apply that to any source of media in the world ever. Name one show you like. Any show, any series, any show, any book, any.
Name a series he hasn't seen, Audi.
Fuck it. One Piece. Why not?
Okay, now.
Wow, what a choice!
If you look at One Piece, imagine the number of things that they have not shown.
Like
millions,
what?
millions
Space.
of things.
Yeah. Too many to count. Yeah.
Dude, I'll give you an example. This thing, what's that guy's name? Vegapunk. He was introduced back in, I don't even know when. I was probably like half my age when Vegapunk was first talked about. We still don't know.
Vegapunk was introduced?
His name was introduced, and we still don't know anything about him. Does that make you feel like
Dragon? Smoker,
Dragon,
so many people,
Does it make you feel like, oh, they haven't mentioned anything about Vegapunk, the story feels incomplete? No, you're like, oh, this Vegapunk guy, damn, I'm interested, I want to know who this guy is. Meanwhile here...
I'm assuming that because Vinland Saga is supposed to be a historical account, or close to what has been the historical account of the Vinland Saga, or the saga of Eric the Red as they call it, the Greenlander saga, multiple stories combined to form the Vinland Saga. I'm assuming that there will be more chapters that will try to show this whole story unfold. So there will be more details that might come up that would show the fate of the Yom's Vikings. They might show many more things have to be shown. I feel that's what I
agree. Yeah, but I understand Bruce's point because so I'll give another example which is closer to this, right? Like we all like Kingdom, we read Kingdom, right? Even that's based on, it's kind of fictional, but it's also based on historical facts, right? It's during the Three Kingdoms era of China, right?
Yeah, sort of.
So over there also, we don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot more that can happen, right? But we are still heavily invested and interested in what's going on.
Yeah.
At the same time, and that's the difference here.
And at no point in Kingdom you feel this wasn't explained enough to me. You know, everything leaves you with satisfaction, and then later on they add additional details.
Okay. I wouldn't say that about the last few chapters if you remember what happened.
I haven't read Kingdom in like 3 months, so I'm not sure.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, wait for it to. Yeah.
Sorry. But that makes
But
sense.
in Kingdom, they are probably in the middle of a big war or something, so you don't know how to
end. They had the 6 generals. We didn't know shit about them. But each time they actually started a storyline, you knew what happened. You knew what happened to the men under the 6 generals. You knew what happened to their families. You knew what happened. You knew what happened to everybody. And I'm not saying it's like, you should introduce a character and then when they exit the story, you should be like, okay, this character, his mother died on this date, his father died. No, just be like, what are they doing? At least close that part of the
planned out story.
And Vinland Saga, it's like, these guys disbanded, started killing each other. Well, Thorfinn,
everything is left to
I don't want to hurt anyone, but they're killing each other. I can't do it. Fuck it. I'm just going to go on my own way, which makes no sense. What is Thorfinn's whole ideology about? If he can't go and stop the very people he asked to be peaceful from killing each other? Not even the enemy. He doesn't want to kill the enemy. Understandable. They are literally killing each other within earshot of him, and he's like,
it's fine, fuck it.
No, but that's what you were like, correct me if I'm wrong, because you told me about this thing, right? The last part. So like, even when, like, if you want people to be peaceful and live peacefully, right?
Yeah.
You try to change them in a way that makes them peaceful. You just don't be like, I'll be non-violent, so you shall also be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So try to, and did he do that? Did he put effort into trying to change others? Or he was just doing it himself and not giving a fuck about anyone else?
He was just like,
being
3 rules,
he just
1, 2, 3, bye. And then he just goes. That's literally all he does, he goes.
You need to teach others your ways and encourage them to follow your ways if you want to.
Okay, now I'm just gonna say this, okay? I don't know how much if this explodes and people watch it because of the hate I give out here. But Thorfinn is like a wannabe Buddhist monk, wannabe amateur Buddhist monk. Okay?
What is a wannabe Buddhist?
Wannabe amateur Buddhist monk. Okay, I'm not even going to call him wannabe Buddha because it's too much for Thorfinn. He's like, killing is bad. Like, yes, killing is bad. Oh, I've lived on this earth for so long, but I finally realized killing is bad. It's like, okay, cool, killing is bad. That's one down. And he's like, I should not harm other living beings. And then he's like, inner peace, I will not harm another living being. And then in the farm, he punches the hell out of one guy. And I'm like, what the hell? 2 chapters ago, you said I will not harm another living being. And then he's like, I have harmed another living being. I have harmed another person. I will never do it again. And then the next
Jomsborg fortress, doesn't he fight Garm?
Yeah, he keeps fighting. So he's like,
doesn't he break his nose? Right?
Yeah. He's like, I will not kill a person. I will be peaceful, but I will cause all other bodily injuries. That is okay. Like, are you dead?
Death is where I draw the line. But if I cut off his legs and he's still alive, then
exactly.
It's fine.
Any violence is fine as long as it doesn't lead to death. But I am not violent.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a very immature character, but he is still a kid also, right?
No,
is he still a kid? I don't know.
He's 21, I think.
Oh, okay, so he's grown up. I don't know.
And 21
what happens later.
Those times was like old, ancient.
Yeah, that's like old days. Yeah,
they get married by the age of 18.
Dude, they lived till like 30, 35 or some shit in the,
So this guy was plenty mature for his age, and it's like he, you know how Buddha sat under the tree and he was like, I shall meditate, I shall try to find enlightenment. It's like this guy was walking down the field, he was plowing, he's like, man, maybe I shouldn't kill people, man. That's a good way to live. And that's his whole ideology. That's it. I shall be non-violent. And then he punches people. He takes their weapons and hits them with the hilts and the backs and everything. And then he's like,
he's trying to be his dad, basically.
Yeah, but then he has the audacity to call himself non-violent afterwards. He calls himself peaceful afterwards. Like, no.
It's self-defense, as the Americans like to call it.
Self-defense, I see. So I'll kill a person if they attack me, but otherwise I'm non-violent.
So long as they attack, so long as they send out the first shot, it counts.
He never kills. He just it's like how kids see Batman. Like Batman never kills. He throws shurikens at them. He throws bombs at them, but he doesn't kill. So they all survive.
No, but Batman doesn't claim to be peaceful or anything at all.
No, but here's the thing: if you say that you don't kill, you never kill, and then you are ready to throw bombs at people you don't like, how do you know that they're not going to die?
Well,
fuck that. Batman fucking elbows people in the back of the head. I'm surprised concussions don't kill half the people that he fights, you know.
He destroys people,
and Thorfinn is the same. He's like, I don't want to hurt you. And then they come at him with something, and then he just ninjas his way, hits the hell out of them, and then they fall back flat. And okay, I know it's like a trope, okay, where people fall and go unconscious very easily. But if you look at it in a realistic situation, because it's based on history, a person going unconscious from taking a beating from another man is a very dangerous situation.
Yeah,
you could legitimately die if you go unconscious and nobody's going to take care of you. And so
even if you fall and hit your head the wrong way, you could legit die.
Exactly. And Thorfinn hits the hell out of them, knocks them out, and then lays them on the ground, and he's like, I am peaceful. I did not kill them.
I shall go meditate on top of their bodies.
No, that's the thing. He doesn't meditate either. He's just like, I was a terrible man. Yes, I was a terrible man.
I am non-violent.
I am now
sitting
good
next to
man.
his pile of bodies over here.
Oh wait, 1 second. My camera just fell again. Mickey just put it back up.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing.
But so,
he's a very poorly defined, poorly drawn out character who really, really wants to change. Except the author was like, how can I take an existing moron and make him even more moronic? And then he created the character of Thorfinn. And it's like, I understand, it is in the ages where this sort of thought didn't exist, where this type of philosophy didn't exist, and he probably thought he was a goddamn genius for being like, other Vikings kill people, I don't kill people.
Yeah.
But then if you're being that close-minded about it, where you're like, I will not kill them, but I will beat them within an inch of their life. Is that really a smart man? Is that really what we are considering a kind man, a generous man?
Are you considering him to be is that what they intend you to consider him?
Yes, because he takes care of little kids who, like, okay, on their journey they literally get a baby whose mother dies, and they're like, we will take this baby for as long as possible until we can find someone who will adopt him. And then in the end, Thorfinn ends up adopting him. He becomes his adopted son.
Yeah.
And then another woman runs away with him, like runs away with the ship because she wants to go out to sea and doesn't want to marry this guy. And then he, in the end, marries her. And then he comes back and he's like, oh, I will treat you kindly. And then there's a slave, like, I will buy this slave from you. I don't want this person to be in slavery. So they want to show him as a very kind and generous and humble, nice man. But he will beat people an inch within their life.
No, that I've seen in real life. Like, there are lots of people in the mafia and bosses and gangsters and killers who still treat their other people and family and kids with like kindness, make food, give them candy and stuff. I've seen that. But then on the other hand, they go and murder people and shoot them openly. Yeah.
This guy apparently does it because he's
those people exist.
What surprises me most is that the Viking lands were supposed to be like a dog-eat-dog world, where the warriors normally got the best cut of anything in fights, in raids, or anything of the sort. So someone who poses as a kind person like Thorfinn does in his second half would have gotten killed pretty much instantly if they didn't know of Thorfinn's history. Like fucking, let's take Halfdan for example. When Thorfinn goes up to Halfdan, it's like, yo, Halfdan, I need money for going to Vinland and settling people over there. Halfdan could have just spat on his shoe, like, fuck off, fuck you, I don't need to give you money, fuck that. And not even like at the general prospect of it, if Thorfinn was like, I want to go there and settle, but I don't want to take weapons. Now, in a sensible world at that point anyways, you need weapons to survive. No matter what the fuck happened, you need weapons to either fight off animals, either fight off natives or anything of the sort, or maybe if there at least keep something close to an army so that your settlement is protected in some way or the other. This claim would have gotten him killed if Thorfinn didn't have his history behind him, which is still, it should have gotten him killed by Halfdan to begin with. Like, Halfdan was like the dumbass he was, gave away money and resources and like, yeah, you know what, go ja to Vinland. You go to Greece, make money, bring it back, and then you go to Vinland.
No, I can understand that part. I was like, okay, you know what, this guy is like, theek hai, chalega, le lo. You just take it and do whatever you want with it. I'm rich, I don't care. But then the fact that, okay, and apparently it's historically accurate that they didn't take weapons.
But that's the thing, Halfdan himself says it. The whole of Iceland is supposed to be a barren land. Sheep can't graze and crops can't grow. So where the fuck is he getting all these resources from to just frivolously give them away to Thorfinn?
He has a giant farm, man. He has farms all over Iceland.
Yeah, but he said it himself. He can't. He said that he would go bankrupt just trying to fund the Vinland project.
Yeah, but that's why he's not funding the entire thing. He's just funding a little bit. But anyway, no. But my point is, this guy. Okay, apparently it's historically accurate that they didn't take weapons, which makes no sense to me. Which makes absolutely no sense to me.
They didn't take weapons, said the guys who took axes to cut their wood.
Hey, well, it still happened though.
Again, a weapon is a very loose definition for that time anyways, because you can use literally anything as a weapon today as well. Like, you could kill someone with a block of butter if you had to.
Already getting adventurous. Interesting.
The point being, like, then their weapons were swords and crossbows at best. Crossbows they got from the French Empire, and those were considered weapons for warriors. But axes, on the other hand, were not considered weapons. Knives were not considered weapons. So they could still carry those to some degree. And they were like, okay, these won't be considered as weapons. They'll only be used for the stuff they are intended to be used for, which is cutting wood, cutting meat, a sickle for shearing wheat if they can grow it there, shit like that. So you can't say for certain that they didn't take weapons. They definitely took weapons. They just didn't want to use them as weapons.
Yeah. But either way, that part, I'm not going to argue with the history of it because whatever that works. I'm just trying to argue with the logic of the manga and the anime itself because that makes no sense. Because they contradict themselves at so many points, it's not even funny.
The thing I said earlier, it's not that Karlsefni, as he was called in the saga, he didn't ban weapons as such. He banned the exchange and trade of weapons. So that means they could have still had weapons in their possession that we probably don't know of, or we probably might find out later on in the future chapters of Vinland Saga. So who knows? Again, it's still too early to make that judgment. They have to show a bit more, and then we can understand a bit more about it. And who knows? Even after 200 chapters, they still don't show anything else. Then they are just fucking around with the story.
You're saying it's too early to make assumptions.
I feel like it's a bit too early.
Bit too early to do what?
To make assumptions.
Assumptions about what?
The Yoms, Vikings, weapons in Vinland, just about anything.
That is literally two aspects of the story.
Aside from Thorfinn turning over a new leaf almost immediately, everything still needs a bit more information.
No, but wait, was it immediately or was it a time skip? Him turning over a new leaf.
I don't remember. There was a time skip, but I don't
it was a time
remember
skip. Okay. No, but
still
they need to give us the details of what happened. They can't just be like, okay, he's new, like done.
Canute and Thorfinn were still the young selves, and I think 2-3 years later, something-ish, fucking Thorfinn had grown a mustache and a beard, had grown longer hair, and he was tilling the soil and shit like that. And they show him as a slave worker in some random ass farm, the Chettle farm, if I remember.
I see. Okay, yeah.
Can't find how long.
What happened?
I can't see how long the time skip is.
Even I don't know. One good thing about it is that I noticed though.
Yeah.
It's drawn very well.
It is drawn very well.
Yeah. And that's it.
The art is good. Yes,
Yeah. It's the old Gekiga style. But yeah, anyways.
5 years.
You had it.
No,
5 years.
5
And they didn't show anything. They just skipped to his. They just skipped to his new personality after 5 years. Yeah. I'm not a big.
Okay,
I already hate time skips, so I don't like that stuff.
Through the many chapters that they show, they show how slaves are normally treated and sold. They show them being taken on ships, and they show them being sold off at big port cities. So I think they want us to assume that that's how Thorfinn was sold to the Chettle farm. But I feel like a couple of things could have happened well before he was sold off, considering his character at that point in time. Like they could have just shown Canute come to him in a cell.
Yeah.
Sup, and fucked off from his face right there.
You know what's funny that I realized from this? Like, so they spend so much time doing a prologue and explaining backstory, but when they have to explain like what's happening in like the current story, they just skip that and let you assume it, but explain what happened before that.
Is just to make sure that the viewer understands why Thorfinn is a new man. That's literally it.
Yeah.
It's not even for Thorfinn to become a new man, it's just for the reader to understand, for the watcher to understand why Thorfinn became a new man. Which is absolutely unnecessary. They were just like, listen, Vikings, fight, cool, done.
Even his dad, right? We are talking about, you were telling me why so many people like his dad, and like it makes no sense because they don't show anything about his dad. They just talk about, they just let you assume that Thor's was a, what happened, Ori?
Why do they like his dad that much?
Yeah,
I thought he had the same effect as like the end goal of Vinland Saga, where Thorfinn wants to attain peace and shit.
Yeah, I think that was just the reason. Yeah, it was the same reason, just to set up for Thorfinn later on.
I would have liked if they showed more of Thor's, but I simply cannot relate to him at all. Aside from him being stupidly strong.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking to Brew. They've done this like in One Piece. They show Roger in the beginning and then they don't show him until later. We don't know anything about Roger, but we hear about him throughout the whole manga by other people talking about him and what he was, right? So we still know about him and who he was through other people's stories, right? But here,
then in that case, I feel like if during the Thor's era, Thor's part of the
The first 15
Vinland Saga.
chapters.
The first 15 chapters, right?
Yeah.
During that point, if they had shown why Thor had abandoned his role as a young Viking and was like, yo, you know what? I am sick and tired of this bullshit. I want to leave. They just say that. That's what we are left with, by the way. That all we know about Thor is that he got sick and tired of battle and he left. He defected from the battlefield.
Yeah.
They didn't show any reasoning behind it. Like, you know, they didn't show
Nothing.
him seeing a dead person, like, reflecting on it with, like, PTSD on his face and shit. Like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, I
They didn't
killed a
show
person.
his past, yeah.
They
Because
didn't
it
show
wasn't
his past.
about him. Because it was
So
just
if they
set up.
showed
Yeah.
something about him, maybe we could have linked that to Thorfinn in some way or the other. But they didn't show that either, and they time skipped his slave past as well. So 50% of the story was lost in the prologue right away.
That's what I was saying. Like, they should have, even if they decided to skip all that and just start at the start where he is like non-violent, just start where he's non-violent and then go back and show his rest of his backstory later, and like go wherever they want to go from there. It would have worked better than what they did here, right? Because you're still showing what's happening currently. And
if they had just kept it to like 5 chapters at best, I don't know why the fuck they wanted to go for 50 chapters. I didn't even think 5 chapters is required for a prologue. But you know what? I
it
think
was
5
too
chapters
much.
would have been, it was too fucking much.
And a whole anime season to just show the prologue. Are you shitting?
Like after 50 chapters, I was like, okay, what was this all this while? Was this supposed to be the manga? What is this afterwards? What the fuck?
Yeah. And again, the thing with time skips, like I gave an example, like I don't like time skips, but One Piece time skip is amazing because you know the time skip takes place, but they show exactly what every crew member is doing.
They show
In
the
every
progress of
island,
every
how
crew
are they
member.
getting stronger? So you know, you're not left out of the blank like this randomly happened, right? And there it works. It makes sense. You're like, okay, yeah, it makes sense that they're strong. They're just not randomly buff and shit.
That's the thing, right? They don't just show the progress of the main crew. They show the progress of many other characters as well, like side characters, the Shichibukai, the Yonko, their ambitions, their dreams, everything else. After the time skip, we are pretty much caught up, so we are not left with a big fucking gap in the middle.
Yeah.
Here, on the other hand, we just have half the story out of this thing context over here, and we are like, okay, this guy was violent once, and now he turned a peaceful leaf over. What the fuck? He just wanted to stop fighting because he got sick and tired of it. You don't just stop fighting because you get sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
And it's clear we are seeing that right now because Thorfinn is like,
No,
I am
it
sick
does.
and tired of fighting.
It does happen to people.
Around,
It does happen to people, but the pace at which it's happened doesn't work here. Yeah.
I mean, okay, if you're sick and tired of fighting, right, you try to end the fight as soon as possible. But Thorfinn in his fight against Garm clearly fucking enjoyed fighting him because he headbutted him.
Okay.
He pulled a fucking pro-ass strategy, turned his arms inside out when he came in with a spear, and then he headbutted him the same way his father did to Askeladd. Or I think to Bjorn, I don't remember which one. But it was like a callback to when Thor's died.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a cool moment, but I was like, okay, violence and all, but this guy was supposed to be a non-violent man. What the fuck happened? He's sure is smiling right now in the middle of a fight.
My god. Yeah, that's weird. Well, that is our opinion. Brew, anything else you want to say?
I don't know.
What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
I'm just going through some
Done with shit.
opinions over here, and some people claim that the rushed character development of Thorfinn makes sense to them because they're like, oh, he was captured by Canute and he was all angry and he was blood hungry, and then the next you can see his sunken eyes and the artwork shows how he's changed. Like, I get it, he's changed, I understand, I'm not a moron, I understand how things are supposed to go, but that's still not the way you show it properly. You show it over time, you show. It's called development for a reason. It takes time. You develop slowly.
Yeah, at
Otherwise,
the end of the day, it's still a manga. It has to explain to its readers what the fuck the characters are doing.
why do you call it character development? They just call it character transformation. That's literally what's happening.
Yeah.
Because it's a completely new person. It's
Dude,
Fucking
even
Pokemon style, Thorfinn evolved into...
it takes longer to turn Super Saiyan than he changed
yeah,
his
exactly,
character.
exactly. Oh my god! It's like I can't bear it. I don't understand. It's not so much that it's a decent series. I'm not going to say it's a bad series. It makes sense. It puts out points. It tries to be overly philosophical and fails spectacularly at it. And they try to do some Hamlet type of shit with Canute and his father's head just following around everywhere, talking about random things. And it's like, oh, you are going to kill your brother, ha ha ha. And then Canute is like, oh, I won't kill my brother. And the next panel is like, I killed my brother. I had to do it for the sake of my nation. Okay, I get it. Okay, you like Shakespeare. I do have read Shakespeare. Yeah, all of us have read Shakespeare. We know what Hamlet is about. And it's a good manga for people who don't, or anime for people who don't know anime.
Bro has said it.
It's a good manga anime for people who don't read.
For people who don't read, period. That's
like if you read
people who
books,
don't read would be able to read this, that kind
Bro
of...
taking shots at people publicly.
If you've read books, if you've read good books, if you've read any of the classics, if you've read any of the cult hits over the last few years at least, even if you've read the Harry Potter series, the series which I have grown to dislike over the last few years, it has a lot more depth than this manga ever will. It tries, that's my problem with it. This manga really tries. It's like, I am philosophical, look at me. I go from blood hungry to pacifist. But then it's so cheap and it's so underdeveloped. It's such a basic bitch move.
Yeah.
Like every other chapter they'll show it either through Thorkel, through Thorfinn's wife, they'll show it through other characters coming like, I am violent, and Thorfinn's like, I am not violent. No. they just try to push that agenda really well.
Yeah, it's very...
And they fail at it,
Yeah, I think he should have explored the plot more before releasing chapters.
And again, it's not like I mind the switch in story, although I think it's a terrible way to do it because they just kill everybody who they don't need for the next chapter and they're like, okay, you're done and dusted with, out. But it could have been really good if they took a little more time exploring the character instead of just telling us what the character is. If they showed struggle of Thorfinn being like, okay, I have done this in the past, I need to reform, but then he finds himself unable to, and then he tries, he goes through that mental torture. You show he's really good at art. Show him looking at the abyss and the abyss looking back. Show him thinking about the world as it is. Show some philosophy instead of just talking and telling us about philosophy, being like, so Thorfinn became really philosophical and he decided not to kill people. Cool. And that's the same problem I have with Thor's. Everyone is like, Thor's big, Thor's a strong character. Okay, cool. And that's it.
Yeah, but he just said it. We need to see that shit. Yeah,
and everybody claims that Thor is such a good character because he took out like one ship of Vikings at the start. I'm sorry. That's not enough. You're just creating an OP character and you're destroying him because you don't have a way for him to actually lose.
Yeah.
Doesn't Thorkel do the same thing?
No. Like I don't know why, but I feel like comparing this with Kingdom all the time. Like if you see character development, Shin, right? Shin. He goes through a lot of shit.
Of course.
And like even if you talk about how his character changes and how it develops. From what he was in the beginning to what it is now, it's like crazy development, right? And even if you talk about a big figure like how Thor's was, if you talk about Oki, right?
Yeah.
We know so much about Oki. We know so much about him. And even after his spoilers, sorry for those, but even after his event that happened to him, you saw Shin's change wasn't like instant. Right.
Yeah, it was very slow. They took time. They explained
exactly.
Why. And might I just point out, because you brought this up, Audi, what happened to Oki's men after Oki's event?
Oh yeah.
Oki's men... Didn't they stay? Yeah, they stayed loyal to his unit, no?
You got to know that instantly.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Oh, then why does this manga need time to explain what happened to the group of Vikings who were disbanded?
I don't know. They're taking it at a weird pace.
Whatever.
I feel like again they could have shown it earlier, as you say, but then they don't want to show it. Maybe we'll see it in another chapter. Again, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt here.
See, whatever war Vinland Saga wants to show, Kingdom shows it better.
Oh, wars, dude. Kingdom does wars flawlessly. Holy shit.
I don't think for Viking Vinland Saga there is no war. There's just been one war and that's about it.
Everything else is just fights at best. Okay, fights. Kingdom still shows it better.
Yeah. the thing is, war is such a chaotic. It is becoming a Kingdom episode slowly.
Yeah.
War is such a chaotic event, but Kingdom shows everything so clearly and like they explain it so well. You know what's going on in every corner of like the battlefield.
You start out with zoomed out, and then they go into different zooms to show you what's happening. So the fights are shown beautifully. They show it better than Vinland Saga.
You're following everything. Yeah.
Okay, Naruto is more philosophical than Vinland Saga, even though it's not meant to be a philosophical
It's
thing.
not meant to be
Okay.
Naruto.
But okay, what does this Vinland Saga have? The only thing it has is Vikings. I can't think of a manga with Vikings. There, you got me there.
I went into reading this because I liked Vikings to begin with.
That's true.
And truth be told, I kind of wanted to stop reading after 54th chapter. But I was like, okay, art is good. Let's see which direction this is going. And you boys also wanted me to finish it because we wanted to discuss it. See.
Yeah.
Again, I don't mind the direction they took, just the execution.
Yeah, I don't mind the direction.
Also,
just the way he did it.
I like the fact. I was astounded by the fact that Columbus was not the first person to explore America, and that there were people well before him, and to see that there was a manga that was describing this whole event happening. That's what got me into reading this in the first place. But now seeing as how everything is taking this very odd philosophical route of its own.
Pseudo-philosophical, I don't even think that's philosophical.
For like philosophy then.
He said, like Bruce said, wannabe monk apparently.
Yeah,
wannabe apprentice monk. Not wannabe Buddha. Wannabe Buddha is way too high for this. It's like
they're still trying, huh?
Hey, Buddha still tried to spread his teachings and spread his this. He didn't just sit himself alone.
Okay, I'll tell you exactly what this is like. Okay, we can all relate to this if we are above like 17 years of age, I guess. You think about life. You're like, what is this nihilism? Let me look at it. You open a book, you read about Nietzsche, and without caring about what he actually said, you're like, life is meaningless. I can do whatever I want. Rape, yeah. And that's what it sounds like, because this guy opened the book of Buddha and he was like, first page, be calm, don't hurt others. Like that. I am now peaceful, I am now enlightened. Like, no, read the rest. There is a lot more. You need to understand that.
I wish I could understand what Nietzsche writes, but yeah.
I know, right? but that's what it was like. Nietzsche talks about how you should have passion in life and you should fill your life
there's a lot
with
more,
meaning.
exactly.
Yeah, and everyone is like, oh, Nietzsche, he said it's okay to murder people and rape people. Yeah. Like, that's not what he said.
Exactly, it's not what you need to read more. You need to understand what he's trying to say. People like nihilism, that means you don't care about anything and you can do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not true.
And the same way, being peaceful is not just about not killing people.
Yeah, it's a lot more. It's a lot more.
So he just looks at the Buddhist book and he's like, okay, I take first line, put in and throw the rest, and that's what it is. A mishmash of philosophy, war, violence. Only good thing is the art. The story is an absolute mess.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's Vinland Saga for you guys.
Thus spake Brody Siva.
I like when Brew doesn't like stuff because he goes on a rant. Then if he like the thing is, when Brew likes a manga, it becomes kind of boring because he's like, oh, I like this, I love this, I have no issues. But when he doesn't like it, he goes. So I like that he doesn't like stuff. Yeah.
When he really likes something, he'll be extensive about it. He want to go into more details. But when he hates something is when he gets truly fucking.
Oh, that's his real final form. I like that. Yeah. Right there. like suppose like shows he like he liked Konosuba a lot, which I didn't like that much, and he was like, oh, I love Konosuba, it's perfect. I have nothing to say.
I do have nothing to say.
I'm just pointing it out what you do.
Make it better than it is right now. I can't. Maybe
I'm just saying that's how it could. But yeah, anyways, that's what I'm saying. When you should. But I don't want to talk about stuff I don't like because I don't want to waste my time. No, but anyways.
See, the reason I like talking about things that go wrong is that it's not too late, firstly. Like Naruto, it's too late. It doesn't matter anymore.
Naruto.
Story went to shit. If you can't do anything about it, that's fine. But Vinland Saga has a lot of potential which they're absolutely wasting.
That they do.
That's true.
They need a better story writer at best. At the very
least. It is an absolute
art is too fucking good.
There are so many things they could have done by slightly, not even like majorly changing, by slightly tweaking how they do it, putting a little more time and effort into things. Everything would have been great. I would have been raving over Vinland Saga right now, but they decided to take it in a path which was lazy, and they were like, I want a shortcut. I need to get to this point as quick as possible.
Yeah, they should have just put more effort. And like, you can, dude, he could have, like, at this point in the story that he's reached, he could have had double or triple the amount of chapters if he showed everything, right? Of
course, yeah.
And explained everything, and it would be better than it is right
much now. Better, much better.
Couple of gripes I have with the last few chapters of Vinland Saga. Firstly, they show the journey for Thorfinn, Leif, Round Eyes, I think his name was.
Eyes, yes.
Yeah, Eyes, and Gudrid. All of them going to Greece basically. They had to sell the narwhal horns to make money and bring that shit back to prepare for the journey to Vinland. They show them go up to Norway. They show them go up to the Faroe Islands, which is right above England. And then they show them go up to... I think that's it. They show them go up to Faroe Islands and that's about it. They show them go to Norway, and then from that point forward, they just show them go to Greece and come back. There is so much fucking area in the middle between Norway and Greece. I think they could have shown a bit more than just one panel after the whole journey. And this is where, Sid hates time skips. Now I'm also starting to hate the whole idea of time skips thing comes in. They somehow managed to get past a whole half of a continent without coming by robbers, without coming by other kingdoms that kind of hate the Vikings, because Vikings were raiding other countries in Europe at the time.
See, I can explain it all very easily. These characters that you mentioned, do they help push Thorfinn as a better character? Yes or no?
What, Leaf?
No, these robbers and kingdoms that you wanted to see, do they change Thorfinn into a better person?
I mean, they showed these Yoms Vikings fighting him, and they showed Thorfinn fighting him back, so they might as well just shown
they
something
are not
here.
important. Unless they show Thorfinn becoming a better person because of it, nobody else is important. That is what the manga has taught. Thorfinn important, everybody else no.
I just remembered something. Okay, so basically in this time that we have said, Jesus and Christianity is supposed to be a very strong part of Viking culture.
I'm out. Bye.
No, hold on. It's not. It's supposed to be strong. They kind of show...
we mention religion, Bruce, like...
They show it in the manga. Yeah, that's right.
Makes sense though, yeah.
So I've watched the show Vikings. And I don't know how historically accurate it is, but I'm assuming much of the surrounding detail is supposed to be according to Viking history. Buddhism made its entrance into Norway and Sweden sometime around well before Erik the Red and Leif Erikson. It made its entrance over there, but there was never a stronghold for Buddhism. So who knows? Maybe some Buddhist monk came around in this time skip, and Thorfinn was like, Buddhist monk tell me violence bad. Yes, violence bad.
No, Buddhist monk walked around peacefully, and Thorfinn was like, how are you so peaceful? The first thing, I don't kill people. He's like, you will say no more, man. I got it. I am as enlightened as you now. God damn it. Anyway.
And much could have been shown through the travels from Norway to Greece, but again...
They were not important. Thorfinn could not advance more as a character at that point, so they were not important.
Couldn't he have though?
He's already reached a state of... He's already reached his limit as a character because they rushed the character development so much. What is going to change in Thorfinn right now? He's already as peaceful as his father. He's already as strong as his father. He needs to do nothing else. There's literally no reason for Thorfinn to develop anymore.
But I feel like they could have done it a bit more justice than just give one panel showing what they were doing in Greece.
Not important because Thorfinn doesn't
like they didn't even dedicate one page. They showed just one fucking square showing them in Greece with Greek Roman statues sitting next to them, and they're like, yeah, they were in Greece at this point. This point in time they were in Greece selling shit, and then they came back with money. Ships full of money, mind you. They could have shown something, anything to just
Yeah,
kind
they
of
should
explain
have
how
shown.
they made their journey back unscathed. And mind you, this is all
Thorfinn, yo, it's all
without
Thorfinn.
guardians, without any soldiers, without any Vikings with them.
Oh, Thorfinn, right there.
Yeah, I know, right? One man army. Also, my second gripe is that I kind of was hoping for because they showed the Assassin's Creed crossover with Vinland Saga. I hope that they'd showed at least 1 or 2 chapters showing Eivor, the main character in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, kind of having a part in Thorfinn's life or something like that. They just show 4 pages. That's it. That's all that there is to it. I was so disappointed in just seeing 4 pages of this, and I was like, this ain't a crossover. This is just showing him appear and fuck off into the wind again. But that's just a personal gripe about it, nothing else.
Yeah.
Well,
But
audience
yeah,
surprisingly active. But yes, this has gone on for 1 hour, and that's 1 hour too
And
long.
I
Vinland Saga,
think
watch it
it's-
if you don't know what to watch because you don't have any good suggestions in mind. If you want good suggestions for anime,
Oh, we
sit
talked
here.
about Kingdom. We talked about Kingdom. Read
Yes.
Kingdom. We talked
Read
about
Kingdom.
Kingdom.
Don't watch
Yeah.
Kingdom, read Kingdom.
Yeah, please don't watch Kingdom. Yeah.
Read Naruto if you want philosophy. Read One Piece if you want everything. Just, god damn it, read any shonen manga instead of this trash.
But yeah, anyways, now let's move on. So next week, I've heard a lot of good things about this manga, and I am excited to read it. So I hope it doesn't let me down. But we are going to be reading Uchu Kyodai or Space Brothers. That is, yes, 364 chapters.
Hey, how about a little bit of a warning if it's that
I like to
wrong?
surprise brew. But yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. I hope it is as good as I've heard. Let's see. It looks interesting. I like space. Let's see.
Yep.
The plot seems promising.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
Is
what
it
we're gonna.
ongoing?
I think it is. The last chapter came out this year, I think, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh
But
no,
yeah.
the manga is still going on.
Yeah, it's
Original
still
run
ongoing. Yeah.
from 2007.
Yeah, so we'll check it out and we'll do an episode on this next week.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And
This
Audi will
is,
join us.
Audi will probably
Sure,
join us if he likes
If I
it.
do finish it by then.
Yeah. If I finish it by then, it'll probably come out a little late, but it doesn't matter. Haha, enjoy this episode till that time. You'll have a lot of fun listening to Brew.
Yes. Anyway, that's our
Anyway.
review of Vinland Saga. It's going to be
Vinland
very
Saga.
unpopular because everyone seems to love it. I would like to know why. If any of you can tweet, can comment, can private message me if you want, and tell me
Yes.
why I should like this or why you like it or why it will make sense.
Try to change Brew's mind.
Yes.
He's open. Yeah.
Yes. I will accept it. I will debate you about it and we'll see
Yeah.
if I actually change my mind. Anyway, I'm Bro.
Yeah.
That's Sid. That's Mari Moss, Audi-san. And next week we are doing Space.
I just said RD, but whatever.
Space Brothers,
Space
Uchu Kyodai.
And
Yes.
goodbye.
Goodbye.
Sayonara.